I've been captivated by this idea of becoming a new creation in Jesus. When we put Jesus at the center of our lives, he begins to create, I think, very similarly to the first pattern of creation in Genesis chapter 1. So I've been looking at some of the principles in the first creation account that can help us make sense out of the way that God is recreating our lives even now, making us new creations in Jesus. You know, the first day of creation, the scripture says that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Have you ever felt like you're trapped in the dark? I remember traveling to New Zealand and being in those caves. There's these like incredible caves really deeply hidden in the earth, and you can go in there. It's like crazy dark, and you're in this boat almost silently rowing through this water, and then you'll see just these little tiny bugs. They're glowworms, like they're glowworms on the edges of these caves, and they begin to light up the darkness, just these little tiny glowworms, these bugs. And how it would just, you would feel the sense of the light coming. You weren't as lost, you weren't as afraid. You could see, even though it wasn't this incredible rising sunset, it was more like just these even little particles of light. In my experience, God's light is like that. It's enough to see, you know, it's a presence in the midst of darkness. In John's gospel, when John is describing what Jesus did for the world, he describes it like he was light for those walking in a deep darkness. Jesus himself spoke to the followers and he said, you know, you're going to be the light of the world. That nobody lights a light and hides it. Instead, they light it and they put it on its stand. That there's a work of the first creation is a similar work to the same creation that God's doing in you, is he's bringing you light, and light is revelation. It might look like a flashlight, it might look like a torch, it might look like the sun, it might look like a glowworm in a dark cave, but whatever darkness you find yourself in, whatever deep cave you might be in, whatever sort of this feeling where you don't know what to do or what's up and what's down and where to go, you can be sure that God, if you would call on him and you would seek him and you would follow him, Jesus himself, the light of the world, he'll light a way. You can trust him to make a way where there seems like there is no way, to actually be a glowing worm in a dark cavern where you're not quite sure where to go. You can trust God. As he begins a new creation in you, it'll come in the form of light. It'll come in the form of revelation. In the temple, the Jewish people used to light a lamp and an eternal flame. They tried to never let it go out because it was symbolic of God as light. His people were supposed to be symbols of light in the world. Let me ask you this. In the life that God is creating in you, are you light? Have you found Jesus as the light of the world, and then have you joined him in bringing light and revelation to the world in which we live? It is a dark and depraved generation, the scriptures say. And so the instruction is to shine like stars in the universe. Let there be light in you.